Thank you, French Shalom. Greetings to you all. Well, it was great seeing my old friend Michael the other day. He will always be special to me. And it was certainly a busy week. And all the weeks now leading up to the High Holy Days are busy. And during this busyness, with kids going back to school and university people settling back down to work and studies, I hope you all took a few moments to remember the tragedy of 9/11. A reminder that even in the 21st century of man, and we know he's been around for way longer than that, we must learn to accept each other and support each other and strive for the common, greater good. Don't preach love and spread hate. Don't talk equality and subjugate. Don't say yes and mean no. Think, say, and be honest to yourself and to the world. I say hi, you say low, you say why, and I say I don't know. Oh no, you say goodbye and I say hello. Now, as my good friend Michael was explaining to someone, if you love 60s music, you'll love my show. Do we ever get tired of hearing Beatles songs? Now, it was not just 9/11, but this week was also my daughter and my wife's birthdays. And it's great that they're on the same day. It means I can remember one thing less. But I do remember things within our community and friends. I know that we all hope Bob's chemo treatment went well. And we hope everyone everywhere gets the healing they need, feels the energy they need to feel, feels the love. And so for all in need of healing, remember, energy and spirit know no boundaries. For everyone, everywhere. Mi Sheberech Avotenu Makor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Misha Baruch, let us all have our spirits renewed as we come upon a period of renewal for everyone everywhere, because that is what the High Holy Days are about. Now this week, we once again have one of those parshas where the title does not do the piece justice. It is called Ki Tetza, when you'll go out. But it has nothing to do with going out. Instead, it has everything to do with honor, with human decency, respect, love, events of war, and with pairings. And in this parsha, you will actually find the hardest question asked in the Bible. Now, when teaching on this piece, I often talk more about the decency and humanity that must be shown to women during times of war. Now, that does not mean you can be indecent or inhumane the rest of the time, but it specifically deals with what was an unfortunate common ancient occurrence and refutes a modern idiotic statement that we have all heard and all used: all is fair in love and war. Why? Why is that time different, special, an opportunity to make an allowance for normalcy? Should we not strive to be aware, awake, true to ourselves, congruent 24 hours a day? Should we be different people at different times? Should we have different ethics, different morals, different beliefs based on a series of circumstances, feelings, incidents, whims? Is it's just business really acceptable? Not just for business, but for life? Well, according to the Torah, not everything is fair in love or war. Now, last week's Torah portion spelled out certain laws of conduct for warfare. This week, the Torah portion introduces the prospect of romance on the battlefield. A soldier in a heathen army would have no compunction over taking, raping, and disposing of a captive woman. Not so in the army of the Lord. Now, the Torah acknowledges that the soldiers of a conquering army are likely to be tempted to take captive women, but it forbids acting on the impulse. Instead, the Torah demands that a captive woman be granted dignity be allowed to mourn her parents. She's to be given the honor of marriage. She is not to be taken forcibly. She's to be married and given the status of a wife. She cannot be treated as a slave, nor can she be sold. Now, before the conquering soldier can consummate his desire and marry the woman, he has to allow her to mourn the loss of her family for a full month, during which period she grows her nails and shaves her head, and the reason for that's a different story. Now, this month of mourning is like a 30-day waiting period, during which the man has time to reconsider his intentions. Hopefully, it will prevent buyer's remorse. Now, does he really want to marry the weeping bald woman with the long fingernails? At the end of 30 days, the man has decided he is not pleased with her and does not want to marry the woman after all. He is to let her go free. Now, the Torah's wisdom in this matter teaches us several principles that apply to every romantic relationship. A person should not rush into marriage. Love at first sight may not be real love, just a chemical reaction. Now, before committing to marriage, a person needs to take time to see past the spark that ignited that passion. These laws teach us to curb our natural desires. Remember that the person we're attracted to is another human being and not just a sex object. And notice, friends, the wording used in this section in talking about the treatment of the woman is the same as used regarding the Egyptian slavery, and which will be used in the Yom Kippur service coming up: degrading. Israel learns from its experience of enslavement. It not only celebrates its own release, but it learns to have compassion for others as well. Now, an underlying theme in this amazing series of laws and rules about how to behave is that your behavior does not get altered by circumstances. And so we're being told that one of the greatest goals that you can achieve is to actually learn to be congruent. You gotta be congruent. Conscious every hour of the day. You gotta be aligned within, understanding all you have to say. Now, that's from a song called Jacob's Ladder by a local band, Me 3. And it's all about being congruent. Who you are is who you are, and you should attempt to be the best and highest you at all times. Now, the Buddhists, and now everyone else, because it is so cool, call it mindfulness. Now, I used to teach mindful meditation. I still do. And I've often lectured in the past about the origins and development of Buddhism and its concept of karma and intention. And I've explained how parallel its development was to the development of the Jewish prayer system, which was also based on intention. And believe it or not, my friends, it still is, even for those of you who do not realize it, especially when you were sitting through 5, 6, or 8-hour high holy day services. It is your intention that matters. Even if that is for 20 minutes only, you will accomplish as much, if not more. Anyhow, be you. And if nothing else, you should call it your reality. Who you are is who you are. And while we are presented with an interesting mix of seemingly unconnected laws here, in fact, they talk about how this parsha contains more of the rules of the 613 mitzvot than any other section. I think there's 70 of them listed here, but don't focus on that. Instead, taken apart or as a whole, it's a complex mixture of moral and ritual laws that also shows how the Torah's different kind of laws are interconnected. And that is fantastic, and that's what makes you sit back and think. And when you digest all that, one of the things you will see this week is something that's taken a very interesting twist, especially of late, because some have taken what is said this week as the Bible's view of transgender issues. Deuteronomy 22:5. There shall not be a man's item on a woman, and a man shall not wear a woman's garment, because everyone who does these is an offensive thing of the Lord your God. Now, friends, when I grew up, I don't think anyone ever talked about transgender issues. Well, they must have existed. And here it is. Now, I'm not going to join in the debate. You can read any number of articles that argue the pro and cons of this. But this is another example of how a book written several thousand years ago is being examined to consider something relevant and at the forefront of today's issues. Yes, this is an organic book designed to examine issues in any and every era. Now, also there is this fascinating concept of not putting unlike things together because it creates imbalance. And the example given is that an ox and a donkey cannot plow together evenly and therefore should not be yoked together. Deuteronomy 22:10. You shall not plow with an ox and a donkey together. Now, in this case, the separation of the two kinds of beasts makes perfect sense. It has a clear humanitarian motive, for the smaller animal would certainly suffer in this yoking. But friends, the meaning of this law and of the other laws concerning mixtures has stymied scholars for centuries. And it has led to some other fascinating discussions. And believe it or not, this section is often quoted as being one of the key reasons there should be no intermarriage. Now, the popular lore about love and marriage says opposites attract. Some agree, some disagree. And those that disagree use the Bible to back it up. The Torah says we are not to plow with an ox and a donkey yoked together. It says we're not to plant a field with two different types of seeds. It says we are not to make a garment out of two different types of linen and wool knit together. Now, for many, each of these commandments illustrates an important principle about relationships. Early Christianity interpreted the prohibition on yoking two different types of animals together metaphorically as a prohibition against partnering with an unbeliever. Do not be yoked together with unbelievers. For what partnership have righteousness and lawlessness? What fellowship has light with darkness? What is a believer in common with an unbeliever? Or what agreement has the temple of God with idols? Well, the world says that a person should marry whomever he or she falls in love with. And for those same questioners, this is a bad plan, because it is possible to fall in love with what they call the wrong person. They believe to marry someone of a different faith is to be unevenly yoked. Now, friends, I encounter this all the time, and that's one of the reasons I've devoted most of my work as a rabbi to being of service to the turned away, shunned interfaith community who want to hold on to tradition, belief, practice, and value love above all, the great law of laws. So let me go back to what I said earlier. This parsha contains the hardest question in the Bible, and it's overlooked whenever anybody talks about it. And we've skirted it in most of what we've talked about so far. It was in Deuteronomy 18:21. And if you'll say in your heart, how shall we know? Friends, how do you know? How do you know anything? How do you know who to listen to? How do you find out for yourself which way to turn? Are there steps you go through? Have you ever been convinced someone was right, only to decide later that they were not? How do you know? No. As Bob Dylan said in Empire Burlesque, trust yourself. Trust yourself. Trust yourself to do the things that only you know best. Trust yourself. Trust yourself to do what's right and not be second-guessed. Don't trust me to show you beauty, when beauty may only turn to rust. If you need somebody you can trust, trust yourself. Trust yourself, my friends. You will get great advice. You will actually do what is to your highest and greatest good every time, whether you subsequently agree or not. Speaking of great advice, we get some of the best ignored advice you can ever get in this parsha, Deuteronomy 24:9. Remember what the Lord your God did to Miriam. Well, what the hell kind of great advice is that? Remember, friends, that was the Miriam with leprosy story. But this is not about leprosy. This is about the cause of what took place. Life is a series of causes and effects. We act on what we think, on what we believe we know, and we talked about that incident. Miriam was punished, as Rashi suggested also, for slanderous gossip, lashon hora, evil language, a horrible curse that hurts three. Now, in sharp contrast to the adage about sticks and stones not hurting, Judaism looks very gravely upon the misuse of speech. Our tradition teaches that lashon hora can destroy many lives, even unintentionally, in one fell swoop, those three being the person speaking. Although you may briefly become the center of attention when you dish out a juicy piece of gossip, in the long run people start mistrusting you. I wonder what she says about me when I'm not around. People do not trust gossips and will avoid confiding in you. In the end, you're killing your own reputation and gravely ignoring the sixth commandment, do not murder. In addition, due to your misusing the gift of speech, you may be diminishing yourself in the eyes of God. Second is the person spoken about. The person under discussion is, of course, being killed in everybody's eyes, whether the information is true or false. It is hard to take back defamatory words already spoken and to undo character assassination already committed. That person's reputation may very well be forever blemished. The third, of course, is the person spoken to. Interestingly enough, this is the person who is the most culpable, even though he or she is seemingly the innocent one. All they did was listen. But the Talmud says that listening to Lashon Hara is even worse than speaking it. The person had the power to stop it and did not. Now the transgression is complete. Heard it through the grapevine. Not much longer would you be mine. Ooh, heard it through the grapevine. And I'm just about to lose my mind. Honey, honey, yeah. People say believe half of what you see, none of what you hear. I can't help being confused. If it's true, please tell me, dear. Now, have we not all heard things through the grapevine? Is that not the same evil gossip, perhaps with a different name? So I ask you again, how do you know? Now, if someone asks you why, do not say, I don't know. That's never true. We're coming into the season of soul searching, of questioning, of examining, of evaluating, of truth, of justice, of balance. The world is sacred. So it's everything in express your gratitude, light a candle, make a wish, celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free, be free, honor your freedom, be well, be happy, and be blessed. Share and honor the light and all who live in the light and continue to shine. Continue to send everybody goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone. And end the terror and hatred. Remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together, we celebrate each other, we love each other. We share this ride together, men and women equally. Let us send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, good healing to all who need it. And please do learn to forgive and learn to love. Open your hearts. Honor the relationships of your life. Tell those you love that you love them. Take advantage of the time you have. Enjoy the journey. We take the twists and turns and the patterns that weave through the fabric of our lives in our efforts to grow, to learn, to be, to love. So please do love. Send healing, goodwill, and love to all who need it. Share your holiness. Lord bless you all. Have a fantastic week, a week of love and light, a week of peace and healing. If you honor the people of your life and honor the journey you are on and honor yourselves and friends, keep your eyes open to what you may not be seeing and keep your ears open and listen to the world around you. And remember, this is an organic book. The lessons, the laws, the ethics, the ritual changes with the times. It is how it stays current, relevant, new, meaningful. It continues to provide us all with insight and with answers. And with this time of the year, heading into the period of personal review, we're supposed to think just a little bit more about who we are, what we are, why we are. Now, I hope you all join us for the high holidays. Aruba, Jamaica. Ooh, I want to take you to Bermuda, Bahama. Come on, pretty mama, Key Largo, Montego. Ooh, I want to take her down to Kokomo. We'll get there fast and we'll take it slow. Okay, we will not be in Kokomo. We will be wherever you are. And you will have a new experience. Do not stop your journey. Do not stop moving towards your promised land. It is in sight. Keep on dreaming, keep on being, keep sharing, keep shining, keep teaching, keep spreading your holiness. Do not follow fear. Now, thank you all for joining me, for participating, for sharing your lives, your love, your time with me. I appreciate it. I love you all. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Be well. Until then, Shabbat Shalom.